A peaceful early morning jog in Memphis, Tennessee, turned into a horrifying tragedy in September 2022 when Eliza Fletcher, a beloved school teacher, mother of two, and avid runner, was abducted and later found dead. Her kidnapping sent shockwaves through the community and gripped the nation.
Breaking news in the kidnapping of Memphis teacher Eliza Fletcher.
Especially after the arrest of her alleged abductor, Cleotha Abston, a man with a long history of violent crime. Today, we will delve into the chilling details of Eliza Fletcher's abduction and murder, the investigation that followed, and the broader conversation about public safety that this case has sparked. On the morning of September 2nd, 2022, Eliza Fletcher set out for her usual early morning run in the city of Memphis. A dedicated runner, Eliza often jogged through the same neighborhood route around 4:30 a.m. before starting her day as a kindergarten teacher at St. Mary's Episcopal School. Known for her warm personality and devotion to her family and students, Eliza was a beloved figure in her community. However, on that particular morning, tragedy struck.
Just take a look at this video. In the video, it shows Abston arriving at the complex in the SUV used in the kidnapping around 7:57 Friday morning.
In the video, a man is seen forcefully pushing her into the vehicle before driving off. This was the last time anyone saw Eliza Fletcher alive. When Eliza failed to return home later that morning, her husband, Richard Fletcher, grew concerned. After discovering that her phone and water bottle had been discarded along her running route, he immediately contacted the authorities. Within hours, a massive search effort was launched involving the Memphis Police Department, FBI, and local volunteers. As the hours passed and there was no sign of Eliza, the situation became increasingly dire. The community, which was already on edge following a series of violent crimes in the city, was left reeling. The fear and concern surrounding her disappearance quickly spread across the nation as people anxiously awaited news of her whereabouts. On September 3rd, less than 48 hours after Eliza's abduction, police arrested 38-year-old Cleotha Abston in connection with the crime. His arrest followed a key breakthrough in the case. DNA evidence collected from a pair of sandals found near the site of the abduction was linked to Abston. Additionally, surveillance footage showed him cleaning the SUV that had been used in the kidnapping, further implicating him in the crime. Abston was charged with especially aggravated kidnapping and tampering with evidence. However, as the investigation continued, the tragic reality of what had happened to Eliza Fletcher began to unfold. Cleotha Abston was no stranger to the criminal justice system. His criminal history stretched back decades, beginning in his teenage years. Most notably, Abston had been convicted of kidnapping in 2000 when he abducted Memphis attorney Kemper Durand at gunpoint. Durand was held in the trunk of his car and driven around for hours before managing to escape when Abston attempted to force him to withdraw money from an ATM. Abston was sentenced to 24 years in prison for the kidnapping and other related charges. He served 20 years before being released on parole in 2020. Despite his lengthy sentence, Abston's release highlighted concerns about recidivism and whether violent offenders should be allowed back into society without proper rehabilitation. Eliza Fletcher's abduction and murder raised serious questions about how someone with Abston's violent past could be free to commit such a heinous crime, reigniting debates about criminal justice reform, parole, and public safety. On September 5th, 2022, after a 3-day search, Eliza Fletcher's body was found behind an abandoned home in South Memphis, less than 8 miles from where she had been abducted. The discovery confirmed the worst fears of her family and the community. The location of her body, concealed near overgrown vegetation, suggested that Abston had likely murdered her shortly after the abduction. The autopsy later revealed that Eliza had died from blunt force trauma and strangulation. This chilling revelation painted a horrifying picture of the final moments of her life, making her death all the more heart-wrenching for those who knew her. Following the discovery of Eliza's body, the charges against Cleotha Abstin were upgraded to first-degree murder and first-degree murder in perpetration of kidnapping.
With the ethical rules about what we can say and what we can't say, I don't understand or
used Eliza's debit card after the kidnapping. The case against Abstin was backed by a substantial amount of forensic evidence, including his DNA found on the sandals, surveillance footage of him near the crime scene, and witness testimony from individuals who had seen him acting suspiciously in the days following Eliza's disappearance. The case against Cleotha Abstin was strong, but the legal proceedings also brought to the forefront questions about the justice system and whether Abstin's earlier release could have been prevented.
And this is just really sad. It hit home. I have sons.
Vigils were held across the city as friends, family, colleagues, and students came together to remember her. A beloved kindergarten teacher, Eliza had left a lasting impact on the lives of countless children, and her death sent waves of grief and anger through the community. Eliza's family released a heartfelt statement expressing their sorrow and thanking law enforcement for their tireless efforts in finding her. They also asked for privacy during the difficult time, while also acknowledging the outpouring of love and support from the Memphis community and beyond. Eliza's abduction and murder ignited a broader discussion about public safety in Memphis and across the country. Many were outraged that Cleotha Abstin, a convicted kidnapper with a history of violent crime, had been released from prison just 2 years before committing another horrific crime. This raised urgent questions about the parole system and whether more stringent measures should be taken to prevent violent offenders from being released back into society. The case also prompted conversations about the safety of women, especially in public spaces. Eliza Fletcher was abducted while jogging in an area she was familiar with, raising concerns about how even routine activities like running in broad daylight can be dangerous for women. Advocates called for greater protection and awareness of women's safety, while others pointed to the need for systemic changes in how violent offenders are monitored post-release. Cleotha Abstin was quickly indicted for multiple charges, including kidnapping, murder, and tampering with evidence. As the case made its way through the legal system, Abstin's defense team prepared for what would likely be a long and highly publicized trial. The prosecution, led by Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy, expressed their commitment to ensuring justice for Eliza Fletcher and her family. Given the overwhelming evidence against Abstin, including the forensic links, video surveillance, and witness accounts, many expected that a conviction was inevitable. As the legal proceedings against Abstin unfolded, Eliza's case became a focal point in the broader debate about criminal justice reform. Critics of the parole system argued that Abstin should never have been released, given his violent history. Some called for tougher sentencing laws and stricter monitoring of parolees, while others advocated for more comprehensive rehabilitation programs to prevent repeat offenders from committing further crimes. The case also underscored the need for greater attention to violent offenders who are released from prison without proper support or supervision, as the failure to address these issues can have deadly consequences, as seen in Eliza's tragic case. Eliza Fletcher's life was one of purpose, joy, and love. A dedicated teacher, a loving wife, and a devoted mother, Eliza's death was a tremendous loss not just for her family, but for the entire Memphis community. Her abduction and murder highlighted the fragility of life and the dangers that women face even in seemingly safe environments. Her story has left a lasting impact on the community, reminding people of the importance of vigilance, safety, and justice for victims of violent crime. As the case against Cleotha Abstin continues, the fight for justice for Eliza Fletcher is ongoing. The case has also sparked a larger conversation about how the criminal justice system handles violent offenders and what can be done to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Eliza's memory lives on in the hearts of those who knew her, and her story serves as a powerful reminder of the need for systemic change, not just to protect individuals, but to ensure that those responsible for violence are held fully accountable for their actions. The kidnapping and murder of Eliza Fletcher is a tragic reminder of the dangers that can lurk in everyday life. It also brings to light the importance of reforming the criminal justice system to ensure that violent offenders are properly monitored and prevented from reoffending. For more true crime stories and discussions on public safety,